Hey everybody. Yesterday we saw Godzilla vs. Kong, the new movie from Warner Brothers in their hit MonsterVerse cinematic universe. So Aiden, what's the plot of Godzilla vs. Kong?
Okay, so in Godzilla vs. Kong, it takes place like 50 years after Kong Skull Island, and some amount of time after King of the Monsters, like 2 years. Godzilla's fucking pissed and smashing shit up for reasons that we don't know right away, because some company's building Mechagodzilla. I'd say that's a spoiler,
Apex.
but Mechagodzilla was featured in the ads and toy line, so I think a lot of people saw that one coming. King Kong is just dicking around, and then some guy comes and takes King Kong to the Hollow Earth, and also Millie Bobby Brown and Millie Bobby Brown becomes a conspiracy theorist and lectures the audience about not drinking tap water with some black guy who's just like the guy from the first Transformers movie, the Donuts guy.
He definitely fills that role. That would have been him in 2007, 2008.
And then
Jackman.
Also with some fat Australian kid who's kind of like a little version of Andy Milonakis, who just walks around and says stupid jokes and drinks tap water, and Godzilla farts weed gas into his nostrils or something. Yeah, and then Godzilla and King Kong punch each other a lot. So Connor, what do you think of Godzilla vs. Kong?
I thought it was, for the most part, fairly decent. There's a lot of issues. In terms of the human plot, I actually didn't mind the stuff with the doctor and the little deaf girl who befriend King Kong and take him to the center of the world to go to Big Skull Island, because it turns out the Earth is hollow and is a Big Skull Island, kind of.
Yeah.
Or Skull Island somehow is like part of Middle Earth, Center Earth thing. That whole human plot was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and then it cuts back to Millie Bobby Brown, the Australian kid, and the I ate the whole plate type of donut guy, and that whole plot actually is entirely pointless because they discover the conspiracy of Mechagodzilla, right? But it's kind of entirely pointless when you think about it, because Apex, the company that's making Mechagodzilla, is there for, like, they're part of the A plot too, going to the center of the Earth.
Yes.
So really, the conspiracy only adds to the audience knowing of Mechagodzilla.
It's just
at a point, like, it's pointless. It's just to add Millie Bobby Brown to the movie.
It's just a way to get out all the Mechagodzilla exposition.
The movie isn't actually too long, and the A and B plot, human plots, actually never cross paths at any point, which was kind of surprising to me. But it honestly, like, it doesn't really have exposition that adds anything to the story. It's all just pointless.
It's just like, oh look, we found Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, but
and the only thing they do in the plot is, at the end, King Kong is going to get stabbed by Mechagodzilla's tail.
Liquor on the computer, which turns off his tail. Like, yeah. Come on.
So they have this big controller this big computer that controls Mechagodzilla that's been taken over by King Ghidorah's brain, because they've fused Mechagodzilla and Mecha King Ghidorah, which is actually kind of cool. But then Mechagodzilla's about to kill King Kong, and they pour alcohol on the control panel, and the only effect it has is turning off his tail, and otherwise it's entirely irrelevant.
Yeah, it's completely convenient. But yeah, that whole plot, actually, when you think about it, it's pointless.
It's fucking
and it's
horrible.
The less interesting plot. Like, there's a lot of cool imagery that comes as a result of it, and this movie has a lot of cool imagery, but I'll come back to that. Structurally, it's very much inspired by Infinity War, how it's set up with the co-branching plots, but instead of being like Infinity War's, whatever, 3 or 4 plots, it's the 2 human plots. The only issue is one plot is better than the other because the characters are actually serviceable for a Godzilla movie in the A plot, and then the B plot with Millie Bobby Brown. The two dudes are really annoying, and Millie Bobby Brown is whatever. But it does come off as completely pointless, but that's what they were going for. In terms of imagery, there's a lot of bizarre choices. Like Mechagodzilla is literally just, if you fuse Godzilla with a T-1000 Terminator, that was their idea. Because it literally just looks like a T-1000 to me with a big tail. Like the face and eyes. Like when it's looking at you and like powering up at first, I was like, this is just a T-1000, basically. Like the eyes and shit.
Yeah, it's got a lot of that imagery.
So it has that imagery. When they're traveling to the planet's core, they basically just said, wasn't that a cool scene in 2001 when they get close to Saturn? So let's just make a bunch of flashing lights and like give the audience a seizure. Yep. Which, you know, wait. Like, it's cool imagery. It looks cool. And it's nice to see something like that in a blockbuster movie. It was kind of cool. So, whatever. I will say, like, the CGI middle of the planet core looked pretty cool. The planet core looked pretty cool. So I thought that whole part was kind of cool. And honestly, all the fights and stuff were cool. I liked how the final battle was in Hong Kong. That was a good choice of city to destroy. Mostly because it's a very colorful city and it looked cool in the battle. Other than that, yeah, it was a decent movie. It was a decent movie, but I do think that whole Millie Bobby Brown plot was completely pointless. So Aiden, what did you think of Godzilla vs. Kong?
It can be divided up into 3 parts. The Millie Bobby Brown stuff is fucking horrible. It shouldn't have been in the movie. It adds nothing. It's horrible. The fucking fat little Australian boy is the worst character in the Godzilla franchise, even more so than, like, fucking Ferris Bueller or whatever the fuck else. He's such a horrendous... I just hate him. I want him dead in Minecraft. Fucking the Hollow Earth stuff is pretty decent, surprisingly. I mean, it's not incredible, but as far as it goes, it's an okay plot. And the Hollow Earth thing is really, it seems like something that'd be in a Showa Godzilla movie. It's pretty Showa Heisei thing to do, where you just got this full retard story about Godzilla and King Kong coming from the Hollow Earth.
I don't really mind them embracing the camp a little bit.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. The Hollow Earth stuff is pretty cool. I mean, there's definitely, they do some cool stuff with the way that the gravity's on the outside. They have a point that King Kong jumps between 2 mountains on opposite sides.
I have a question about Hollow Earth. How is it bright in there? Where's the light coming from, dude?
It comes from the magical energy that powers up his monkey axe.
Okay, fair enough, I guess. So you see, like, light in the far distance, and you're like, is there, like, a sun down here?
There's a miniature sun in the Hollow Earth. But yeah, the Hollow Earth stuff is cool. Effects look good. Hollow Earth plot is passably interesting. The real fucking thing is the spectacle of the Godzilla vs. King Kong stuff. It's really good. All of the Godzilla vs. King Kong and Godzilla vs. Monster and King Kong vs. Monster and Mechagodzilla vs. everyone. Shit, all the monster fights are really fucking good. They're not doing that Godzilla 2014 bullshit anymore where they show like 4 seconds of Godzilla and then cut away to fucking Aaron Taylor Johnson running around banging some fucking 75-year-old crone. So yeah, the fights are really good. Pretty much worth watching the movie for that. Whenever the Millie Bobby Brown parts come on, if you're watching on HBO Max, you can just whip out your phone and start browsing Twitter or fucking, I don't know,
honestly,
not
you
pay
can
attention.
just
Oh wait,
forward.
It's HBO Max. You can just hold the fast forward button.
Yeah,
you don't have to watch
one
it.
thing I will say is, like, at least the Millie Bobby Brown parts are short for the most part. Like, it's definitely the shortest part of the movie because it's whipped in there because people like Millie Bobby Brown. They had to find something for her to do.
Yep.
So most of those
So they
scenes
made
are
her
like,
lecture the audience about fluoride and the tap
she
water with the
probably,
donut man.
this movie's around, it's like an hour 50 minutes, but ostensibly like 2 hours. And there's probably 20 minutes of Millie Bobby Brown shit in here.
Yeah. About,
And about like a fucking hour of shit doing with the A plot with the doctor and whatever. And Apex. And then there's like 30, 40 minutes of just monster fights.
yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It looks nice for the most part. The fights are good. Human plot is tolerable. It's a Godzilla movie. It's a pretty good one.
It's a pretty good Godzilla movie.
Would you recommend Godzilla vs. Kong?
Yes, I would. For Godzilla fans. And just people who want to watch something that's a dumb action movie. Godzilla vs. Kong is kind of lucky being the first big dumb action movie we've gotten in like a year. I mean, like, the next biggest movie we got was probably Tenet, and that was like, you know, I guess the Snyder cut counts, but,
No,
you know.
there's no action in that movie until the last 10 minutes.
Honestly, yes. If you're looking... Oh. Honestly, yes. Like, for the year, I mean, just considering that there's not much other dumb action movies coming out at the same time, it was kind of a fun dumb action movie. Though the Millie Bobby Brown shit kind of sucked. So, Aiden, would you recommend Godzilla vs. Kong?
Yeah, I'd recommend Godzilla vs. Kong. It's fun.
Au revoir.